Hey, what's going on YouTube, and welcome back to another video. Now today, I'm actually back at the auctions. The video series where I go out and I venture out to see if there's any cars that are particularly interesting or stuff that's worth bidding on. And as you guys may know, it's been a while since I've done one of these videos, and I think the biggest primary reason for that is the fact that I've been so busy doing the K-swap for the BIOHAZARD Civic that I actually bought from a Copart auction. So where I'm at today is actually the Copart here in Portland, and it is one of the largest that is in the area. I mean, it is absolutely astonishing how large this one is. So I'm very keen to look at a few cars here, but I also wanted to be able to ask you guys what you guys like most. Do you guys like the long form video content, or do you like the short form video content? Because what I've been doing lately is filming a lot of short form videos, and I think it's good for me now to kind of take a little bit of a reset and see what I want to do with the long form videos. Now, I do feel like I took a step back a little bit from making these auction videos just to prioritize other things that are going on and also not get completely burnt out on this stuff, because I think the biggest thing at the end of the day for me is to make sure that this stuff always seems fun and enjoyable, so that I'm not just doing this as like a slog to continue to make content. But I'm happy to say that I'm really excited to actually be back here, because I honestly do miss it. There are so many cars and so many opportunities to go film stuff today. But I think with that being said, I'm ready to get started. And I have a great one right here in front of me that I think will be quite an exquisite acquisition for anybody that wants to pursue a project car like this. So before we get into the video, I did want to give you guys a quick heads up that I did update some of our merch, which I'll make sure to link down below. This time I spent a lot of time going through revisions on the design. What I wanted to do is I wanted to find a supplier that was able to get the quality right in terms of like the fit and the way it feels, and it's something that you can really enjoy wearing to support the channel. But I think with that being said, let's get into this one. And to kick things off in today's video, what we're going to be looking at is this FK8 Civic Type R. These keep popping up for whatever reason at the auction, usually in a wreck, which is very unfortunate because these are fantastic cars. If you want something that is reliable, that is a very high performing Civic, this is the way to go. Of course, with the FL5 now, the value for these has gotten to a place where they're pretty affordable for what it is, and I think it's a great bang for your buck, especially if you want something like this. A very special model for sure, and kind of an acquired taste, I would say. Not everybody's gonna be on board with the looks of the Civic Type R, but from a performance standpoint, there's a lot to like here. I had a feeling that somebody's gonna really like this one, but as you can see, it's a little rough around the edges, right? So we can see that the whole wheel got chipped here, and these are a set of Kansei, is that how you say it? And it kind of makes me question how this even happened. I'm kind of wondering why this chipped off like that. It's very fascinating to me. I don't know if maybe it has something to do with the composition of the wheel itself. As we'll go over here and take a look at the damage in further detail, you know, this is your pretty typical front end collision. It almost looks like somebody could have been texting and driving, and at the very last second they decided to swerve and they punched this in, which is, you know, very unfortunate, but not the end of the world. The way to really tell if this is going to be worth fixing is when you look at it dead on, and you can see how it's all skewed over here, but it looks okay in this side, which is actually a pretty good sign that this would be much more manageable to put back together. I think it's almost a guarantee at this point that it needs to go on the frame machine. But as we look at it in further detail, there are some very strange things that I'm seeing. For example, one of the windshield wipers is completely missing. I almost kind of wish that there was a cloth or something that I could put here to protect the windshield itself. But I think regardless, you'll probably need to replace that. And on top of that, it has these slotted rotors. I think with these actually came with the Brembos from the factory, so that's nothing out of the ordinary there. But it has the upgraded mud flaps, and I could just tell that somebody really liked this one. Usually this is a hardcore enthusiast pick for people, you know, something that you can really get to enjoy just on a daily basis. I think even John Cena, he daily drives one of these things, which I thought was pretty amusing. But unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to open the hood on this one, even though that is really what you'd be buying this for. Even if somebody wanted to just take the heart out of this thing, there's a lot in the terms of the market that you could do with this. But I think this one is definitely going to be worth you know, putting it all the way back together. It also has some other JDM goodies. I noticed that this seems to be carbon fiber, which I'm not sure if it came on the Type Rs. Maybe somebody in the comments can let me know. But I also noticed when I opened the door to the interior that we have some Mugen goodies. Now, Mugen is like a very famous tuning brand that's been making stuff since almost the 90s, maybe even the late 80s for Hondas. And, you know, this is a pretty penny just for some little aesthetic stuff like that. I don't know why the seats are rolled away back like this, but like I've said before, I think I said this in another video too on the Type Rs, I wish I could take these seats home and put them in my Civic. Or even, is that even possible? I don't know. Because they're not even electric seats, they're very simple. So I would imagine you'd be able to do that. Airbag did deploy on impact, so that's probably one of the more costly things. But in the grand scheme of things, there's a lot of things to be replaced here. The center console is not in the best shape, but I think that's gonna be okay. And then now we can hop in here real quick and see how it is. Very slick manual transmissions in these. Always been a big fan. Looks like we got the wheel key here. And yeah, no, it feels really good. Solid little car. But I do think that there is potential for somebody to put this back together. I don't know if it's gonna be me. Do I really need another Honda? Probably not. But as you know, I do really like these cars a lot. So this is a pretty cool one. I'll take a look at it from the back one more time before we head out. And yeah, it's a sweet little machine, man. Shame what happened. It's a shame that I can't pop open the hood either. I'll try one more time, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to get this one open. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe today is our lucky day. Let's check it out. Oh, crunchy. Yep, that's a little crunchy. So here's a look at the engine. It has a Perrin shock tower brace, which is pretty cool, but for the most part it looks relatively stock. I see the little turbo down here didn't get disturbed. I'm really just looking to see how far back the core support went and see if it actually made contact with the engine, but I don't think it did. I would almost guarantee you that it needs a radiator just from the extensiveness of the front end hit, but in the overall, it's not bad. I don't see the frame rail over here looks okay. I'm also looking at this side too. Oh yeah, man, this is very fixable. The more you look at it, the better it actually becomes. So you'd have to just imagine the whole front fascia, you have to take everything off here and it would give you a better idea in terms of how this would turn out eventually. But I'm gonna lay this down very carefully for now. But yeah, beautiful car. Very beautiful car indeed. I like this one. And this one caught the corner of my eye. You don't see a lot of these. E46 Station Wagon. I think a lot of these died out with the huge drift craze, especially around here in the Pacific Northwest, because everybody uses these chassis to slide. I mean, you know, for BMW's sake, it's a relatively simple car. The aftermarket support for these is pretty wild, but they did not make a lot of the station wagons. Usually you find the sedans, the convertibles, the coupes, but this is kind of unique. You don't see too many of these. I think a lot of them were sold with an automatic transmission, and I think that's the same case for this one. As you can tell, very similar hit as to the Civic Type R that we were looking at. You can see that the more concerning thing is how this all got pushed down, so that tells you that this would all need to be pulled out. They even used the tastefully clapped zip ties to ensure that this is all staying together in one piece. But again, not the end of the world, but you have to remember too that the value for these isn't going to be as much as a Type R. You know, you'd have to get this for a very good deal, and it's very possible you could. I think this is the Cosmos Schwartz metallic, if I'm not mistaken, but you know, it's a black E46. The interior, it even looks like it's the sports package. So it's got the upgraded seats here, and I don't know, it smells pretty pleasant here, but this is definitely a sports model because of all this. You know, I can't go into all the specifications, but I do see that there are some things that are missing. Is this one of the bolts that goes on the axles? This looks very familiar. I remember doing the diff on my E36. This almost looks like the same thing that came off of that. Makes you wonder. So let's look in the back here. Yeah, this is a pretty handsome little car. If you clean this all up, this would be actually really nice. And it's very common also to see people manual swap all these. It looks like it's been dropped too. I don't think this is a stock ride height for one of these things, but you know, given that it's the 325, very famous engine, lots of people like these. And for the most part, they're relatively reliable. The cooling systems are abysmal. like with all old BMWs, because they use this plastic that makes it feel like like it was made in a cheese factory. So let me see if I can pop open the hood on this bad boy. And what's unfortunate about the cooling systems in these is they're a bit abysmal, because they're kind of known for being made out of cheese, and over time they like to fail. So this one looks like somebody's been in here, and that kind of leads me to what I was talking about earlier with that one bolt that we found in the driver's side door. So this one, somebody was in here. I don't know what they were doing, messing about, tampering with stuff, but they took the vanity cover off the valve cover just to inspect further. I don't see any wires getting spliced or anything like that, but it does kind of make me a little more concerned about the drivetrain as a whole. I don't think it actually did any physical damage to the engine itself. Again, I would put my money on it and eat my own shoe that the cooling system needs to be replaced, because they're very delicate. But it's actually good that it hit this portion of the car, because there's actually nothing here behind it. So as you can see, it's just like a big gaping hole. But somebody was trying to remedy this in some certain capacity. I mean, you can see, look at all this tape, man. It's terrible. So for whatever reason, somebody was in here messing with it, maybe trying to cobble it back together, but here it is today. Cosmos Schwartz. Very nice color. I like the color of this one. So I'm gonna let this rest. You don't want to slam these too hard. These kidneys are like almost famous for popping out. I think on Ray's E46, they do the same thing. So you'd have to get this one for really cheap. You'd have to be really into it. And I think if you manual swapped it, maybe with the ZF or a Get Rag transmission, it'd really wake this thing up. Could be a lot of fun. And now we have a little bit of a mystery here, but this Porsche Boxer actually looks to be in really good shape. So I'm almost gonna assume here that there's some sort of mechanical damage with this one. Mid-engine Roadster that, you know, was kind of frowned upon a little bit when it first came out. I think a lot of people just wanted to defer to the 911. But again, I think for a budget Roadster, especially today, there's a lot of value you can find in one of these. It's just, working on one of these is not for the faint of heart. I think you have to be really into these. And I also noticed too that the window is completely down, so the elements are just coming into here. Maybe we can you know, put the key in and roll the window up, because that's actually very unfortunate. And this one is weathered for sure. I mean, look at the condition of the seat. It looks like it got attacked by a tiger. You know, maybe this has to do with the window being open and being open to the elements, or just over time the seams splitting. I mean, look at this. It's just crumbling. It's pretty terrible. But still, for the time, this was a fantastic car. This one looks like it's fully original. It's even got the original stereo. And wow, look at, I haven't seen one of these in so long. I think this is for CDs. Wow, look at that. That's actually pretty cool. So this folds out like a little tray for your CDs. Not too bad. 5-speed manual is what you always want with one of these. And then the top too is actually in really good shape for its age. Maybe this has been replaced at one point. Usually you can tell when there's no zipper, or at least on the BMWs I know, because I went through this on my E36 convertible. If there's a zipper, that tells you that this is original. But since I don't see one, and it just looks like it's a kind of a cheaper rear window on this, that this has probably been replaced at one point in time. So it's actually not a bad thing. Granted that if you leave these out, they get weathered pretty easily. It rains a lot here, but body-wise, it actually looks really fantastic. I was kind of curious about the tires. They look very, very dry rotted. I mean, these look like they've been here since the upheaval of Rome. I mean, it's just unbelievable. So I think that there's a lot to be had here in terms of what you would want in terms of a very good lawn ornament. But is this something that I'd want to take any bids on? That's a question for you guys. It looks like somebody tried popping this open, or is that just a regular factory panel gap? Looks a little strange to me, but not too bad. Again, very nice car. And one of my friends in high school actually had one of these. It was his mom's, and he would take it out for lunch every once in a while. I still remember it was navy blue, and it was properly quick. I mean, at the time we had our single cam 240s and our beat up Civics that we were just mobbing around. So this felt like warp speed. So again, it's a Porsche, so it's not gonna be the easiest or least cost-effective repair, but if you're a technician and you know these cars pretty well, it's not too bad. I like this thing. And to wrap up today's video, I wanted to end on a positive note with this little NB Miata. So I actually have a green NB Miata, and it's really sad that it just sits nowadays. My dad actually took quite a liking to it, and I was planning on selling it just because it's been sitting for so long, but he was very almost distraught at the idea of me selling the car. So I actually ended up hanging on to it, and my dad's been enjoying it for the majority of the summer. But again, these cars, incredibly simple, incredibly easy to work on. And the thing that only disheartens me the most about these is they're so expensive now. I remember way back in the day you could pick up these for a dime a dozen, but I think everybody's starting to catch on to the Miata craze a little bit. Granted that the NA Miatas in particular are pretty much vintage at this point, so a car like this, you know, it has its place in history, but I do think that they're getting to a point where you have to really justify, you know, if you want to spend the extra coin on something that a couple of years ago was probably half of what it is today. But not gonna knock the car in any way. One thing that I did notice that you guys will probably like is this is actually a biohazard. I don't know why, haven't opened the door, haven't touched anything with it. It's even got the factory lip spoiler, and I think this is an early model just due to the whole front fascia is a little bit different. So again, tires, horrendous. Look at these tires, man. Oh my God. The only thing that I could suspect is maybe they had a really nice set of wheels and tires and they swapped them out before taking it to the auction, because it's got some bizarre wheels here in the back too, which I'm not sure what these are all about. They're just very mismatched. Those are like 16s in the front. These are 17s in the rear, some old Enkis. I don't even know what model these are, but it looks like it's a two-piece wheel, which is pretty cool. So body-wise, not too bad. Looks to be all here. I'm really impressed at the condition of the top. Again, convertible cars, especially around here, and this one has glass, rear glass. I mean, that's the premium stuff, man. So it makes you wonder. Now, it says it's a biohazard. I'm gonna open the door. If it's really bad, I'll blur it out. And for your own guys' sake, you don't have to smell any of this stuff, so you're very lucky. And usually on a hot day like this, things like to get a little extra marinated. And I think I see what's going on here. I see that there is some recreational activities happening over there in the corner, so I'll probably have to blur that out. And this is a theft recovery. I can see the top of the steering column plastic's gone, but it's not bad. It's got the roll bar. I didn't even see that. Got the roll bar in the back. It's got one of those neck cooler things, just random trash. I think somebody took this thing for a joyride, which is pretty common these days with these, unfortunately, but hey, it is what it is. I kind of want to look at the engine. So let's take a look. Very cute, fun little cars. You know, a big part of me before I did the K-Series in the Civic was heavily considering putting a K-Series in one of these. But you can't really kill these engines. The little 1.8s, I think this is the non-VVT, so there's no variable timing. But again, incredibly simple, and I mean, they rev to the moon, they're very fun, and the power's not there, but you have to remember that this car pretty much weighs as much as a toaster oven, so I mean, does it really make a difference? And yeah, I mean, a K-Series would drop right in, but I think if you just wanted to drive it and enjoy it for what it is until maybe the engine pops, that could be a good way of going about it. But also, these engines are non-interference. So that means even if you snap the timing belt, you put the timing back to where it was, you slap a belt on it, and you're good to go. So it's gonna be pretty tough to take this one out, but I do like it a lot. Good looking car, but I think we could wrap this for today's video. So I got a lot more auction car videos on the way, so stay tuned. Really appreciate you guys checking this one out. Make sure to like, subscribe. Let me know down in the comments what you guys want to see on this channel when it comes to auction car stuff. I also have some K-swap videos coming soon. We're actually going to be starting filming that next week for some long form video stuff. So a lot of things to do, so little time. But hey, I really appreciate you guys. So take care.